Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV begins right now. Hope you're doing well. Stay safe out there. We're recording, obviously, as a lot of places shut down. Weather coming through here in Tally on its way up to Corey in Atlanta. But we wanted to get some content out, of course. It's been a minute since we did headlines, so let's get to boys and say, yay, sausage. Registered sausage.
Before that, a friend of mine texted me last night and said, so I think in the state of Florida tomorrow, or in Tallahassee anyway, the only things happening are Seminole Headlines and I think the governor's state of the state address. Like everything else is shut down, but Seminole Headlines is
we did it.
I feel like Seminole Headlines is the more important of the things that you just mentioned, for sure.
Correct.
For sure. And it's the power of registered sausage, I think, that makes it all possible. Right? I think that's fair to say.
Absolutely.
Registered sausage is it's premium pork sausage. We talk about it every week, but I do want to emphasize that it's high quality pork sausage. It's not just any run of the mill
some shabby sausage.
It is the best part of the pig. It is the premium part of the pig, right, Ira? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, for sure. And it's not, you don't have all the additives, you don't have all the junk added in and nitrates and all the crazy stuff. It's pure premium pork sausage, and you can get it at registermeats.com. Or if you live in this beautiful part of the state that's going to be slammed today by a storm, from Jacksonville all the way across the Panhandle, I think into Lower Alabama and South Georgia, you can get registered sausage in person at your local grocery store. If they don't have it, harass the meat manager and the store manager.
Harass is the right word. Harass.
But if you're not in this part of the state, registermeats.com. They support us. They're great. Ben's and Noel, great people work there. And we urge you to support Register Sausage.
Can I get to the most important thing? Warrick Dunn is going to the College Football Hall of Fame. That's the first item on the agenda for Seminole Headlines, guys. And who doesn't? I mean, Warrick Dunn, along with Derek Brooks and a couple other guys, are just universally beloved.
I know you haven't read the column. It just got put up there. But I posited in the column that I think if you asked 100 people that were Dynasty fans who their favorite Florida State football player was.
Dynasty, like the show, the Carringtons?
Yeah, like the Dynasty. Like, right. Some people like Falcon Crest.
Yeah.
Right.
Some people like Dynasty. No, the Dynasty.
Some people like Dallas. Some people like Dallas, true. Corey.
Yeah. I think Warrick Dunn gets like 50% of the vote. Like, I think he's the runaway favorite for Dynasty era fans of their favorite football player. Obviously, a lot of it had to do with what he did on the field because he was unbelievable, starting his first game as a freshman. But then also the backstory, Charlie Ward, his mother being tragically shot and killed, him having to be a dad to his siblings, all of it. And then what he's done afterwards.
It's amazing.
I just think he's one of the most beloved Florida State, maybe the most beloved Florida State football player of all time.
Yeah, he's in the discussion. Charlie Ward, it's him,
yeah,
and Derek Brooks and guys like that, who all were amazing players, amazing human beings. Warrick Dunn's story is documented across the country. It's remarkable. He's made every Florida State fan and graduate and supporter of any kind very proud. Very proud. I mean, you're right, Corey. I think it's interesting. I'm not besmirching any of the other guys, but I bet you if you talk to Nole fans and they're traveling and somebody's like, "Oh, who's your all-time favorite?" No, they bring up Warrick Dunn pretty quick because they're beaming with pride about who he is.
Yeah.
I also like that Corey mentioned in the column. This is something he and I have talked about through the years because it's something that's not really ever talked about when people talk about Warrick Dunn, because obviously overcame great family tragedy, great humanitarian, what he does for single mothers, all of those things are amazing. And he carries himself in a way that seems very classy and, he's got a calm demeanor. He's not a real fiery guy. But when you watch the way he plays, and Corey points this out in the column, people can read at warchant.com, there was a swagger to him, the way, high step drags his feet into the end zone, things like that, he didn't have to talk about it, but you could see he was about it.
He would do this occasionally when he scored a touchdown, just pat himself on the chest, which was awesome because he was so low key and mild mannered. But he shushed the crowd at Miami after his 80-yard touchdown run. He just he had that in him too, and that's how you're 175 pounds and you play for over a decade in the NFL. You got to have some swagger and some self-belief.
Ahead of his time, if we're going to project onto his NFL career. If you just look at total yards, like Marshall Faulk was doing those things, so that's fine. But Warrick Dunn is in the category. Corey, have you ever looked at his total yards? Look at the NFL's all-time total yards leader. Yeah. Because obviously that is the more effective stat because he caught so many passes out of the backfield. But if you look at those numbers, man, his place in the game, certainly it's debated about whether or not he should go to the Hall of Fame. But that's being ahead of your time. And at that size, it's crazy that he was able to do that. And
it's cool that he does get this rightly earned recognition to be a college football Hall of Famer. So he's number 9 now for Florida State players. Bowden makes 10. They also claim Mudra. I don't like that they claim Mudra. It's ridiculous that they claim Mudra.
Hey, he coached at Florida State, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Well, then Bill Parcells is a Florida State Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? He coached at Florida State too, but Mudra almost got the program disbanded. He did great things before Florida State. But, yeah, so he's number 9. We'll see who number 10 is. I would assume it'll be Peter Warrick. Should be the next one on the list, but we'll see.
Has to be. Would seem likely. Yes, absolutely. Well, congratulations to Warrick, though.
And then Jordan Travis, because clearly he was one of the most important football players that's ever lived. So he should be in the College Football Hall of Fame soon enough.
So I'm torn on this whole college football playoff, the championship game, how it all played out, because on the one hand, it's a little bit gratifying to see how it just kind of makes a mockery of the whole argument that Florida State shouldn't have been in, because their quarterback was hurt and they don't have an elite quarterback right at this point. So how could they possibly compete with these teams? Right. And then you watch
them in Michigan, and
you watch all those playoff games, and then obviously the championship game. First of all, that game last night, the national championship game, it was fine. I don't know if that was on a Saturday. I don't know if we'd be talking about it Monday at work. I don't think it wasn't that great of a game. It wasn't, and it's not just because Michigan's defense is that great. Like, Washington didn't play well, and Michigan's offense is with McCarthy's ridiculous as a quarterback. I mean, the whole thing is just that was not some higher level of excellence that you had to keep Florida State out of. So on the one hand, it's gratifying. On the other hand, it kind of pisses you off.
It's more annoying
to me. Yeah. And I think that was the whole point of the argument before any of the games were played, before we saw them play average level football, is that we knew this was a year where there was no bright and shining armor. There was no team that stood above everybody else. The bottom line is Georgia's the best team in the country. Georgia's not even close. They would kill both those teams. Both those teams last night would have got killed by Georgia. But this is the Invitational. This is what we have. This is the way it works, man. It's frustrating. And it is aggravating for me as a Nole to think, oh, you don't think Florida State could have played with those two? Yes, Florida State's defense would have slowed down Michigan's offense to the point where I would have projected, 260 yards, 170 of that would have been on the ground. This game would have been in the lower scoring. I'm not saying Florida State would have moved up down the field. It would have been very competitive. Yeah. I think it would have been a 20-17, 24-20 type game. Who knows? Florida State could have won that game.
Yeah,
just like it would have been against Alabama, just like it would have been against Texas. Like, Florida State, even with Tate Rodemaker, absolutely hangs with those teams. Absolutely hangs with those teams. They would not have been an embarrassment to the sport.
No.
If they had been in the game, which people kept acting like they were going to be TCU, which is what drove most people the most crazy, is that TCU didn't have a Jared Verse and a Bethune and a Deloach and a Braden Fisk and a Renardo Green and a Azari. They weren't loaded with talent on the defense like Florida State was. That's what was so infuriating about it. Now, would they have beaten Alabama and then beaten Washington back-to-back?
We don't know. Don't know. We'll never know. We didn't get the chance.
But they would not have embarrassed the committee and embarrassed the sport if they were in there, which was what was so infuriating about it.
To a point where you've got to elevate one-loss teams above them because they're clearly so much better and so much better, more equipped. The whole thing, that part of it, I don't know, man. Greg Sankey got what he wanted, so like he's high on the hog. He's not going to be upset about it. I do wonder if the people, and maybe they do because of the fact they've come out with so many statements since the fact.
They can't stop apologizing. They're telling on themselves. Every day there's another statement or some sort of pseudo apology. It's funny. And then they try to push back like, oh, this is a travesty what's happened with the vitriol towards. Oh, get the hell out of here with that nonsense. What do you think was going to happen?
I want to see what that FBI investigation comes to. Like, I want to see what those threats really were. Is it the Greg McElwain threats?
No, that's what Jim
fired.
Jim McElwain. That's what I was going to say. I didn't realize Jim McElwain was on the College Football Playoff Committee.
Yeah,
because they may. Look, we were probably, you guys were too. I was copied on some of the emails that people sent to Boo Corrigan and complaining, and people were mad. I don't know that people were like doxing them and like, showing up outside their house. But anyway, I'm not
If
making
that
light of
happened, we're not
threats.
about that. Of course, we're not
Yeah, we're not
about that life,
Nobody
and I hope
condones any
nobody
of
did
that,
that.
but don't cry to me in the press about angry emails and tweets.
It felt very convenient to come back with that now after the playoff has turned out the way it's turned out.
It was ridiculous. And I mean, as somebody, and you guys have been on the other end of it too, but as somebody who gives an opinion on a daily basis as a talk show host for 26 years, I've had some crazy emails. Ooh. I mean, so what?
Right, yeah.
So what? It's what happens. What are we
But Jeff,
doing?
these are volunteers. These are all
they're
volunteers.
volunteering their time.
And he's like, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get people to volunteer in the future. I don't know. It's going to be hard.
Who would do it? All these angry FSU fans. And be a man and just say it. Don't be out here like just say FSU. Just do it if you want to take your shots. That's the whole thing about all this. You know what you did. You know why you did it. And then you treat us like we're effing stupid. And that's the worst part. Get the hell out of here with all that nonsense and all this, in retrospect, this hand-wringing because they know it was wrong. They watch the product. They're like, ooh, I think we got this wrong, guys. I think Florida State would have been in these games. This is not a good look.
Well, nobody can make the argument that they wouldn't have been. And that was what we were trying to say all along is that, yeah, we get it. They lost their quarterback, who, by the way, I am now almost convinced. We'll never know, just like you said about the other thing.
I am convinced.
If Jordan Travis is the quarterback, I think we're in Houston right now, and Mike Norvell has just won a national championship.
It would seem. Yeah,
it's very possible.
It is very possible.
Strong likelihood.
It is very possible. The only thing I would give pause to is that obviously Keon Coleman over the last 3 weeks wasn't the same guy, but if he was back at full speed,
correct,
with the month off,
same with Jaheim. If he's back near full speed, I think
you would need those guys to be though.
You've got a real chance, because Michigan was not going to go up and down the field on you. They would have. I mean, they're a good team.
Yeah,
they have good lines, very good lines of scrimmage, but so did you on defense. And I just think they wouldn't have run for 200 yards on you in a quarter.
It makes me mad, and I don't even like to engage in the exercise because we're never going to know. We didn't get the chance, and it doesn't do us any good.
What I did enjoy was, my daughter Alexa, who's not a football fan, and Kim, who's not really a football fan, but we're watching the game last night.
Not a lot of football fans over at the Schofel house.
It's weird. I know. I don't get it. It's almost like they don't want to spend time with me and what I want to do.
I would start taking offense to it, Ira.
But I'm not starting it. But no, we're sitting there and they did the whole thing about JJ McCarthy meditating and how all that stuff. And Alexa goes, "What is this? Like, who cares?" And like, why? And like she's not even a football fan, and she was like appalled at the way that storyline, and and it's just like, but it's infuriating because that guy was celebrated in a way over the last 6 games. He's averaged 144 passing yards over the last 6 games. That's a pretty big sample size.
We know,
but he's the one they got. He's the one they've got to interview on the field. He's the one they've got to do the special. Anyway, I get it. It's a quarterback. I get it.
Why is an analyst as Herb Street prattling on about they don't want to give the ball back to McCarthy? I tweeted about it last night. Like, stop saying they're worried about giving the ball back to JJ McCarthy. If you're worried about giving the ball back, you're worried about giving the ball back to that running game.
Blake Corum or Donovan Edwards. That's who they're worried about.
I mean, by all means, please throw the ball, JJ. We don't want to deal with your running game. Please throw the ball.
Yeah. But look, I do want to say this. Like, Michigan earned it. Like they beat Alabama. And they beat I think a pretty good Washington team. I thought Penix
their head coach was suspended twice during the season for cheating.
Hey, Ira, why you gotta bring up
the word earned might rub people.
But I mean, they were,
in terms of what they were, they're a good football team.
They're a good football team. They're gonna have a bunch of guys drafted. They went 15-0.
Nobody's arguing that. I think
fine.
all the 4 teams that made it are good football teams. I think Georgia's a really good football team, and I think Florida State's a really good football team. And that was the point. All those teams are really, really good, and we have an effed up playoff system. And for the first time ever, they excluded the undefeated Power 5 champion.
It will be better next year because if you win your conference, you're in. But we'll see how it goes. I will say, I'm a little bit miffed that what if Florida State finished 6th in the AP?
Tied for 6th with Oregon, right?
They should be 4th. Why are they behind Texas and Alabama? Why are they behind Texas and Alabama? Because they made the playoff that they did not earn like Florida State did?
Yeah, I think Brett McMurphy, I give him credit. I think he had him 3rd when he put out his last week, which I think is probably where they
belong. There are people who recognize There's two types of the voters.
I get you could put them behind Georgia.
Yeah, well,
everybody could put your
Georgia.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
I think you should put them behind Georgia.
It might cause some concern if you put them ahead of Georgia.
Yeah, that'd be a problem. But there are two types of people who voted: the people who recognized the Orange Bowl for what it was, a sham exhibition game that Florida State didn't bother to participate in, and then others who took it as an affront, and they thought that it was a shameful thing, and so they weren't going to put them in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, that I guess.
I wonder if anybody. I would when you can look at the individual polls. I'm curious if anybody put them like 12th or 15th.
Oh, I'm sure. I would have to say that somebody did.
Yeah, I mean, they might have been truly angered and thought that was a mockery, made a mockery of the sport, and they didn't want to reward them with a 4th place vote or something. I mean, I guess, yeah.
The thing that frustrates me to no end too is that, and then we're level-headed college football fans. We understand that this has always been a problem for college football. I mean, that could have, if we wanted to, say with Jordan Travis and the way they played down the stretch, if you're a voter in Montana or something, you might have thought Florida State was the 7th best team going into the postseason. You could have just said, I think they're the 7th best team. And I would disagree with you, but okay, that's fine. You could have put them there because you could have had Georgia ahead of them, Alabama ahead of them, Washington ahead of them, Michigan ahead of them, Texas ahead of them. I don't know. You might have thought Oregon was a better team, so maybe you'd have done that. But the point would be that it's never been a perfect system. We used to watch teams play the 18th ranked team in the country in the Peach Bowl and go on to win a national championship or something. You know, it's always been flawed. I just hate that they chose this one time to make an exception in a way that was above and beyond any other reasonable approach to putting the teams against one another in a playoff.
Right, but what happened is where we lost our way as a sport is when, because of those issues you talked about, we got to this idea where we were going to say, oh, we're going to look at the best teams. We're not going to worry about your resume. We're going to find the 4 best teams.
And you can't do that.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
We cover Florida State daily. This is our job. This is what we spend all day doing. And we thought middle of the year, Florida State's a good team. It would be great to make the playoff. They probably can't win it all. Now, we probably think they probably could have won it all.
They could have.
They certainly could have won it all. And so and you look at all the decisions that were made late in the season because based on what people thought was the best or who is the best or whatever. You can't do it in college football because they don't play common opponents. And so that idea is completely flawed. I understand you don't want to reward a team that goes 12-0 and doesn't play anybody. That's fine. That's one situation, but you can't do it with all situations because when you're talking about really good teams, how do you decide?
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible.
You can't. It's ridiculous. That's why it should have always been best resume.
Right.
That's what it should be worded. That's how it should be worded. I get that you don't want to say most deserving. Best resume almost takes all the guesswork out of it for you. You can actually use some metrics and use metrics to define your vote, not just the eye test. If you said best resume, then a 13-0 undefeated conference champion is in. They have a win over LSU, and a win over another SEC team, and a 10-point win over a 10-win team.
Corey, why wouldn't you want to say most deserving?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I think
most deserving.
Yeah, but they put in the letter of the law their rules that it was just best, which was the mistake they made 10 years ago, which is just stupid.
What you don't want to have a 12-0 or 13-0 team has to get in because they're 12-0 or 13-0.
Right. Liberty shouldn't be in the playoff.
Right. But these teams that are on a similar footing, you can't decide who's better. I mean, and again, I still think if Jordan had been healthy, there's a good chance they don't get it unless they started blowing people out. But if they were playing the way they were playing, in that stretch, they might have got left out anyway.
And here's what you wonder is that I don't think the defense plays as well against Louisville
I agree.
if Jordan Travis is healthy.
Right.
So they may still win by 10, but it's 28-18 or something. Like the fact that defense rose up, it looked like the 85 Bears, and they didn't get rewarded for it is something that will always bother me.
I have to give Coach K credit for that whole argument, right? Remember, I mean, he spelled it out. Sometimes this is how you find out what kind of team you are. Somebody has to rise up.
What does he know about sports and athletics and winning things and what matters? He doesn't know jack squat.
Certainly a far cry better example than roll it out there, Roy, Corey. That's for sure.
How dare
Seminole Headlines on 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And Joseph went up to Bethlehem with Mary, his espoused wife, who was great with child. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. But Mary kept all these things, and pondered them in her heart. This Christmas, may your heart be filled with the faith and wonder of that first Christmas night. From Ray Gordon Brake Service, the brake experts on Greer Road, providing solutions from ASE certified mechanics. Call 850-386-6133. Wooden Glass on South Monroe since 1945. For window and plate glass, custom bath enclosures, and storefront glass. 850-222-5781. And Moose Magnificat Radio, streaming online at moosemagnificat.com. All local musicians, all original songs, all the time. Download your free app at moosemagnificat.com.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
The perfect gift under the tree this year is a new spa or hot tub from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. There's nothing like resting your jolly old soul in the spa after a long, stressful day. And it's the gift that keeps on giving all year long. Heat up your holiday with the end-of-year sale going on now at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. During the month of December, go to our new website, TallahasseeHotSpring.com, and fill out the contact form to receive an instant $1,000 off coupon towards the purchase of a Hot Springs hot tub. Get in touch now before this deal ends. Also, take advantage of up to $6,200 off select High Life models and get a free accessory with purchase of your new Hot Springs spa with affordable financing for qualified buyers. Come see Cameron. Visit TallahasseeHotSpring.com or check us out on Facebook or Instagram. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com. Coupon cannot be combined with any other offer. Come see us for the end-of-year sale. Happy holidays.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Seminole Headlines 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. By the way, circling back here real quick, guys, to Warrick Dunn. Of the all-time Noles, Corey, where do you place Warrick Dunn? I'm talking about ranking on performance while as a player.
At Florida State.
At Florida State only.
I mean, I think you could make a really good argument that he's the best offensive player they've ever had. He led them in touchdowns in 3 separate years, including his true freshman year on a national championship team. He was, he still holds some school records with 100-yard rushing games. Dalvin was really flipping good though, and so was Peter Warrick.
See,
so
that's
it's tough, man. It's tough.
Ira, I think I know what you're going to say. Tell me if I'm wrong. So their numbers are numbers, right? And we look at those empirically. Dalvin Cook was a better running back than Warrick Dunn.
And that's the challenge because, I mean, you think about it's hard to say who's better, but man.
Here we go. Who has the best resume?
Well, here's the thing.
Deserving of the title.
Who's the most deserving of that title?
I wasn't watching Florida State as closely. I covered one game in 93 season. I didn't cover Warrick's whole career, and I wasn't around it like you guys were. But I'm imagining he had a little bit better offensive line than what Dalvin Cook was playing with. And so, you think about those years with Dalvin where he was the entire offense.
He almost won the game against Clemson by himself.
Yes.
That was not a good Florida State team.
So you look at the physical skills, and Dalvin's pretty special.
Freakish.
But then you look at what they did in the NFL, and I think Dalvin's been a better traditional running back, maybe, right. But Warrick Dunn's career in the NFL
is better than Dalvin Cook's, yes.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's hard to say who actually was better. Like Warrick Dunn clearly was good even with the Bucs, and he was. Good
I just think if we look at physical tools, Dalvin had more to work with. Dalvin was a freak show in terms of strength and speed. And
but Warrick was a freak kind of in durability. Like the fact that he never got hurt is at that size. Yeah, it's a good conversation to have. It's first world problems, right? Like who's your better all-time running back, Warrick Dunn or Dalvin Cook? It's a good school you get to cheer for when that's the conversation.
Well, and the thing, whenever this happens, whenever we've ever had these discussions, and if I have them with fellow Noles, I'm always like, I feel uncomfortable because if you get into a heated argument about it, you're going to end up having to disparage.
Yeah. And Warrick Dunn was a 5'0" nothing.
Do it.
Warrick Dunn was 5'0" nothing, 100 nothing. Couldn't even play for Jimbo. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No.
I just think what makes him so unique is one of the things that makes him so unique is he was joining a loaded football team that was number one in the country preseason.
Yes,
they thought he would be redshirting or he would be a corner.
A corner.
He had never played running back, I guess, in his career because he'd been a quarterback, and they thought he was going to be a DB. And by the first week, the best football team in the nation was like, "Oh crap, who is this kid? This kid's going to be on the field." Marquette, you're going to have to. I know you're the USA Today Offensive Player of the Year. You better transfer, buddy, because this kid's better than all y'all. And then he ends up being on the field in the final drive of the national championship game. Like that's a crazy ascension.
I think it's fun to have the conversation. Okay, let's just say in the time that the three of us have covered together, and I don't mean just Warchant, but I mean we've all been on this beat for a long, long time. Like, how many times have we been at practice and thought, "Oh, look at that"? It's very rare that you see a true freshman, and within a week or two go, "Well, they're gonna have to play him." Look at this dude. They're gonna have to play. Jalen Ramsey. I remember Jalen Ramsey. I think all of us inside the indoor practice facility were like, "Holy hell, look at this."
Well, Rashad Green too was a guy that I thought. And here's the difference: we only got to watch one practice a year back then.
Yeah.
But that one practice with Rashad, you're like, "Oh man, he moves different. Like that kid moves like an NFL wide receiver already."
There just haven't been too many moments. I mean, I'm thinking back on. I started covering the team in '98, and that team was loaded. They won it all in 99, obviously. And I remember looking at, I'm trying to think about true freshmen, though, where I thought, oh, that dude's going to start.
Yeah. It doesn't happen much. And luckily it doesn't have to now.
Especially not on loaded teams.
It's, I felt this similar when I saw Keon Coleman. I'm like, hey, man, that guy's first time I saw him, I'm like, I think that guy's going to play.
It's going to work out okay for him.
I think they're onto something with this guy.
And apparently, there we go. They right now, Ira, I think have 14 scholarship wide receivers. If you include the freshmen and the kids that have transferred in with Malik Benson and other kids' names, Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown.
I think they're up to 14 scholarship wide receivers right now.
Yeah, we'll see how that all shakes out over the next 6 months.
We may not be here.
We'll see. But yeah, the other thing when I did the interview with James Colsey a couple weeks ago, he's now at FAMU. He's now the interim head coach at FAMU. But he just in just casual conversation because he had to play as a freshman in a corner when Corey Fuller and those guys got hurt. And he talked about being in when they first got to Florida State that Warrick Dunn was in the cornerback room. And at least in some of the initial meetings, I know Coach Bowden promised him to play him at running back, and obviously never looked back. But it's just it's a crazy story. But also, you think about the talent at Florida State at that time that
unreal.
It's almost hard to comprehend because like right now we're looking at Florida State's in the transfer portal, and they pick up this player and they pick up that, and it's like, oh, that's nice, and that changes that room. but you just can't even wrap your mind around the amount of talent that was here in the 90s.
It's like, so Ampley had just left, so Sean Jackson was the starter. Tiger McMillan was his backup, but Tiger McMillan played a ton in 92 and might have been a better actual running back with his spinny dudes. He tore his ACL in practice.
That's right.
But then you're like, at Florida State in the 90s, you're like, well, the next guy up is the USA Today Offensive Player of the Year, and Marquette Smith, who's this all-time record. He's supposed to be the next Emmitt Smith.
Corey, can you remember how excited because I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in school at the time. How excited Florida State fans were to get Marquette Smith. Like, it was the biggest deal in the world.
And they got Derek Brooks.
Yeah, they the offensive and defensive players of the year from USA Today.
Yeah. One of them lived up, one of them not so much. But the other guy, that's what makes, again, the Warwick Dunn ascension is what's so crazy. It's like maybe to a greater extent, what the Caleb Downs kid did at Alabama this year, the safety. Like, he starts as a true freshman at Alabama at safety and leads them in tackles. You know how special you have to be to do that? That's insanity. And it's the same thing with a kid like Warwick Dunn leading the 1993 national championship team in touchdowns.
Now imagine the poor high school kids that were going up against that kid.
Yeah.
Like, I always think about that. Like, think about what was Lake City defensive tackle?
Jernigan.
Yeah. Think about those poor bastards trying to block Jernigan. Like, in little ass Lake City.
He's just fireman carrying him off the field on 3rd and 6. Like, here you go.
When we first saw Jernigan, all I could think about was those poor offensive linemen in that district trying to block that man. Like, he was mean-spirited in a good way. He would hip toss people that were like his size. What do you think he was doing to the poor 205-pound right tackle at some little tiny high school in Lake City?
The other thing about like that era that was so different that people that are watching this that are maybe in their late 20s or 30s that don't understand is, when we were when you and I were in college, Corey was a wee lad. He was
I was still in elementary school.
Sure.
But you didn't get to see every game. So you would read the box scores and you'd see these players and you'd see the names, but you didn't really know how good they actually were until you saw them. And I'll tell you, Warwick Dunn was one of those guys who I knew he was having a good freshman season. But until that game in 93, when he came to the Swamp, that was the first time. Oh wow!
What
that kid's a freshman.
What did you think of him?
I thought he had a chance.
Might make a few plays.
And it just, not Florida State was on TV some, but I was covering Florida, so I just didn't see him a whole lot. But you just didn't. The exposure wasn't there. Like the kid, Corey's talking about in Alabama. Everybody sees him every week. Back then, you'd hear these names, but then when you actually got to see him, it was like. Just an awakening.
Well, back then, Ira, didn't you have to go to movie theaters and watch the newsreels before the movies?
We did. They would have the newsies
happening across the pond.
Warwick Dunn at Florida State. This young whippersnapper.
Look at this run.
Barry Sanders, guys. When I was a freshman in Florida, he was doing this thing at Oklahoma State, and I would read the box scores and just be like, "What is it?
31 for 296 and 6 touchdowns.
Who the hell is B. Sanders, and why can't anybody tackle him?"
I did that every morning for breakfast in the high school ranks because I was so excited to see which players in the state were going to go on to play at Florida State, Florida, Miami, or whatever. And I would look. Emmitt Smith at Pensacola Escambia. Every time I would look at the box score, I'd go, what in the hell? This got to be a misprint. I would see Emmitt Smith, 22 for 403. I'd be like, what in the world is going on here? And then when he went to Florida, I was like, well, that's the kid I was reading about every day.
He
never saw him.
Good.
He never saw him.
Yeah.
He's a weird one to evaluate because obviously he's got the record in the NFL, but that offensive line was unbelievable.
The greatest offensive line ever assembled.
I still think he was pretty good.
No, he was.
I don't know, Corey. I'm not so sure.
But I'm just saying he's a weird one. Like, because I heard a conversation, Florida fans talking about the same thing, Emmitt Smith and Fred Taylor. And it's like, man, from a physical standpoint, Fred Taylor.
From a physical standpoint, Fred Taylor is the better player, but Emmitt's career was insane.
Come on now. Emmitt's Emmitt.
And it was also weird watching Emmitt run on the carpet. I still don't understand why Florida had freaking AstroTurf.
That crazy AstroTurf. That was nuts. This
This
has been a segment of Old Man Headlines, sponsored by Register Sausage.
My wife gets so tired of me because my son's playing at Leon, and we go to high school to high school to high school in the city, and they've all put down artificial turf. I'm like, This is ridiculous. Stop it. I know you can't
the
grow,
maintenance.
if you can't grow grass in Florida, you can't grow grass.
Yeah,
They just
right.
did it. Yeah, they just did it recently. But can we talk? We can talk about some current stuff, Corey.
All right, let's
Well,
do it.
okay, let's do it when we come back in the
All
next
right.
segment. There's a tease. It was a clunky tease, but it's a tease. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hello, I'm Dana Brooks. And I'm Jimmy Basic of Basic Brooks Law Offices.
Traffic cameras are everywhere these days.
And Basic Brooks is partnered with RoadProof to get access to all their vast network of cameras.
This is a valuable tool to help us search for evidence that could help you if you were involved in an accident.
If you've been hurt in an accident, call Basic Brooks and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Call Basic Brooks and we'll do everything we can to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
Ho, ho, ho! Oh, no.
What's wrong, Santa?
Oh, Dasher is slinging stars around and broke my windshield.
Call Seminole Auto Glass. They'll fix it in a day and recalibrate Rudolph's forward collision alert.
Well, how jolly.
Happy holidays, Tallahassee. Sarah here. We know that glass damage is not on your wish list, but we are here to help. Just go to SeminoleAutoGlass.com, upload your insurance card, and we'll get you seeing clearly in no time. Hey, Santa, what'd the gingerbread man put on his bed?
What?
A cookie sheet.
Oh, no.
Better call Seminole.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
All right, Ira, on the back of that tease, what was it that it was contemporary that you wanted to talk about with Corey?
Well, just this. No, not just Corey, but you too, Jeff. You can partake
nice.
as well.
Well, I'm happy to do so.
This, just where things are right now with the portal, and there's a lot of hand wringing a week ago. There was a lot of concern that Florida State wasn't real active. I think they've had 5 now early this week. By the time, and we're recording this Tuesday morning because of the storm that's going to hit this later this morning. So maybe there'll be another one by then. But they've already 5 commitments in about 4 days, including some big time guys. Earl Little, as you mentioned earlier, Jalen Brown. Those were huge high school stars coming out of high school. They got the Grady. Grady Kelly from Colorado State. 5 total guys. They're up to 7 now. And, we had this conversation a month or so ago where we didn't know how many guys they would go for in the portal, but they've had more attrition than they probably expected.
That's true.
And it looks like that number is going to go, it might go into the teens.
It needs to. Who knows, right? You're right. It's certainly going to go to double digits, but I don't think they expected as much attrition. I think that's right. The Malik Benson pickup is another good one. Clearly, I talked to Ira yesterday on the Jeff Cameron Show. Still doing it, Corey. Still doing it.
Nice.
And,
even with the weather, even with bad weather, you still guys.
Still soldiering through. Okay. But, when we were talking about it, I think the clear emphasis early on, if we're just talking about what they have done, they went out and got speed.
Yeah.
They're looking for a lot more speed. And that was a hindrance to them last year. They didn't have anybody that was breathtakingly fast, especially not late in the year after Keon had the contusion and really couldn't run the way that he had run. And as Ira and I were talking about yesterday, Johnny was never a burner. So they didn't have a ton of speed. Clearly they thought they needed more. At the very least, you're seeing that. The kid that they brought in from Colorado State, that is a Malcolm Ray replacement. That's the same level of player, in my opinion, my estimation from what I've seen. That's fine. You got to replace him. Malcolm Ray played meaningful snaps for you last year, so you got to do that. I haven't checked. Did they get the kid defensive end from West Virginia yet? Because if they get him, then they will have brought in 2 defensive ends, which is very important. And then I'm not going to bore you with my hand wringing over the state of our linebackers.
Yeah, well, I would think they're bringing in 1 or 2 of those guys too. But yeah, I think, and I loved my nickname. I think this kid is better than Malcolm Ray, but I don't think he's Braden Fisk. I think he's somewhere in the middle. I think he's, he played at it's funny. So when I wrote that story about him, his name's Grady Kelly. He's from Colorado State. I guess he's from Navarre though, originally. Yeah, he was a freshman All-American in 2022. He's a redshirt freshman, but he's a freshman All-American. And then this year, he was their second graded player on defense on Colorado State. Now that was not, he didn't play for Michigan, but I was like, man, so he graded out like, and this is PFF, take these grades with huge grains of salt. They're just a baseline to judge or compare. So he graded out at like 76% at Colorado. Well, Braden Fisk this year graded out at 74.8 at Florida State. And I'm like, well, there you go. This guy's better than Braden Fisk. Just another big white defensive lineman. This is going to be what Florida State does now. And I'm like, but I just for my own curiosity, let me go see what Braden Fisk graded out his last year at Western Michigan.
Higher than 74?
86. One of the highest graded defensive linemen in the country. Different, so obviously he dominated the Western Michigan competition more than this kid did. But I think this kid is better than that. I think he's a potential starter. He's a nice third guy in that trio with Farmer and Jackson. But you're taking a step back on the defensive line. You just are. You hope you get better at other places. You might be better in the secondary. Who knows? The Earl Little kid might be an NFL player.
I think that's the prize pickup so far.
I think so too.
In my opinion, Earl Little is the prize pickup so far because I think he plays that slot corner in that role that Jamie Robinson played a couple of years ago. He can be physical. They can do a lot of things with him, bring him down. I think potentially physically he's that kind of player.
And Marvin might be that player too. Like Marvin might be a guy that's ready to take off too. So you've added some nice pieces. They're just more unproven, but that's what you get in the portal typically.
I don't get to shout out North Miami High School a whole lot on this show, guys, because our athletic achievements are not. But Earl Little's dad, he was 2 or 3 years behind me in high school.
What's his name?
Earl Little Senior.
Earl Little Senior. Okay.
Yeah, and he was fantastic. I actually watched him single-handedly win a high school playoff game. I come back from college and went to a game on a Friday night, and he was incredible. Obviously, went to Miami and played in the NFL, but no, Earl Little Jr. obviously is or maybe he's Earl Little II. I think that's what Alabama had him as. Either way, he's an impressive kid, and I think when you talk about the defense, and Jeff talked about what they're doing on offense with adding speed. I do wonder if this is going to be a team that we came into this year expecting the offense to kind of carry the defense maybe a little bit, and I don't know if it played out that way, but I think next year it may need to, it really may need to, because you are going to be taking a step back at some positions. The front seven, they're going to have to do some incredible work in what's left of the portal to have a front seven anywhere close to as good as the front seven was last year. I do think the secondary is going to be really good, but that front seven is going to take a step back, and so you may have to score more points.
But you also look at it and you think, okay, the cool thing is we don't know what Marvin Jones Jr. is. We have no idea. Right. Like, he might end up being a Jermaine Johnson, Jared Verse type, just wonder kid. I'm not predicting that, but there's a possibility that happens. So it's not like you're getting he's not Gilbert Edmond. He's not a guy that's just a guy.
Right.
He's a guy that could be.
Hope not. Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for. His ceiling. You think his ceiling is much higher than just a depth piece. So he might end up being a star to go along with the other guy that I think, if he keeps improving, Patrick Payton could be a star. Well, now all of a sudden you got two pretty good defensive line, two DNs that are, draftable. Yeah. You got NFL
that is up the gut. I think Ira's talking about the defensive line rotation, and then also they don't have any linebackers right now, so they've got to find a couple that they feel very good about: experience, size, speed.
Well, proven linebackers, right? Like, we think Nicholson might be a guy. I think Pryor might be a guy.
I want to see him get better and better.
But that's what happens. That's the natural course of things. He could get bebetter and better. But yes, they don't have a proven plug and play.
Remember, they had two guys there this year that played 1,000 games between the two of them. I mean, Deloach and Bethune, in essence, were like 5-year starters. I mean, they played a ton of football in their career. Replacing those two guys is going to be difficult. It's been my concern. I've talked about it a lot for some time, but you now don't have the luxury of all of that experience and all of that veteran savvy. You've got a developing player who didn't play a lot this year in Blake Nicholson. I don't think Omar Graham is suited for this level. People might disagree with me.
One thing real quick on him. He did. I did talk to him at the Orange Bowl, and he said he was hurt all last year. So I don't know. We if that's true, and I don't think he lied. If that's true, I don't think he would lie about it. He said I'm explaining why. Yeah. I said if that's true, and I said I don't think he would lie about it, but I don't know the extent of the injury. But he did say he was injured all season, and so that'll be. And to the point where I said, so you should be fine in the spring, and he's like, I don't know. So I don't know if maybe he needs to have a procedure done or what. I don't know.
Oh.
But we haven't seen him. He played a couple of games as a true freshman. Last year he was just a redshirt freshman, and he was playing through something. So I just want to say that I think the jury's out on Omar Graham.
But the bottom line is, and I won't go down the list and disparage everybody. The bottom line is they got to bring in some veteran presence here, some kids that have played some football, and they have to have the requisite size. And I just haven't seen it. I've been frustrated by it. They've got some opportunities. Let's see if they cash those in. If they are able to get the kid that went into the portal yesterday from Alabama, that would change things. That'd be pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and I think if you get one veteran linebacker, Cryer's intriguing to me.
I like Cryer. I agree with you
because he does have the size.
Yeah, I think Cryer is about the one that I am hopeful for right now. I like Nicholson in coverage. I just need him to get bigger, obviously. Yeah. So we'll see there. But what we're really talking about, without going position by position, Florida State is not going to be projected as a 13-0 team next year. They're not. They're what we're.
And what would it matter if they were? What does it even matter?
What you're hoping for is that, and Corey, I know this was your concern, you don't want to take a massive step back. You don't have to go 13-0. It's hard to do. But you do have to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 9-3. Yeah. So, or something akin to that, right, to sustain momentum and continue to recruit well and all of that. And we know that this is their first really good recruiting class from the high school ranks. So if you want to sustain this upward mobility in that realm of recruiting, you can't go 7-5. You're going to have to continue to play good football. And we think with the veteran quarterback that they brought in, we'll see what they do with the offensive line. I think they could use another couple players. I'm crossing my fingers on Ferguson and guys like that. But we'll see. It'll be fun to watch them patch this together. It's jury's still out. I won't say that they get high marks yet. Won't say that they get low marks yet. I'll just say we're waiting.
But what I like what they've done here is you're bringing in, Earl Little was a top 100 football player. So was Jalen Brown.
Alabama, Georgia, and LSU.
But you're raising the floor of the talent in the room to a pretty high percentage. Like I counted it yesterday. I think half of the roster is going to be top 150 kids in the country, recruits. Now they didn't all start their careers at Florida State, clearly, but almost half of them are going to be blue chip recruits, which is a much higher percentage than they've ever had here. Now, some of that is DJ. He was a 5-star. Marvin Jones Jr. was a 5-star. So they count, even though they haven't done anything at Florida State yet. But you've just raised the level in the room. And so that, I think, that breeds competition. That's going to make these younger guys that are very good, could be very good players, but are very young. They have to raise their level of competition. I just think this is how you start building programs, is with these guys that were big-time blue chip, 4-star, 5-star kids coming out of high school. Yeah, they might have taken a detour and gone somewhere else, but now they're on your campus, and your roster is so much more talented than it was 3 years ago. It just is at the bottom of it. The top, maybe you don't have a Jared Verse or a Keon Coleman this year, but the bottom and the middle of this roster is so much more talented than it has been.
Yeah, and I think the DJ part can't be understated. It can't be overstated. I mean,
it can be understated.
It can be understated. It can't be overstated. I think it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
You go into when you look at that offense and not knowing what Brock Glenn is going to be next fall, because we only saw him in these two situations where he's kind of thrust into an uncomfortable situation. And then you bring in a guy who's started 40 games of college football.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And I think, I was a little bit, not jaded, but just a little bit kind of cautious or curious because of the experience we had with Everett Golson, where I just never felt like he was even part of the program. By the way, try to find any hints of Everett Golson anywhere on the internet, and it's like he's disappeared. He had a couple CFL tryouts after he left Florida State, and he's never surfaced anywhere. He's not on social media anywhere. All of
he's off the grid.
I don't know. It's just I'm a little concerned. Everett, if you're out there, let us know that everything's okay.
I don't know what sent you down the rabbit hole to search for Everett Golson.
Well, because I was thinking about him, and I just started thinking, I wonder whatever happened to him. But my point is that was I don't even want to say it's a failed experiment, but it never took, right?
Right.
And I think DJ is much better. I think he's got a chance to be much better than that. And I think it changes my outlook on this season. I mean, I didn't think they were going to take a huge step back. I thought, look, man, they could go 7-5, could go 8-4, somewhere in that ballpark. I think DJ and some of these pieces are bringing in now give you a chance to be in that 9-10 window, which now, man, you're knocking on the door to being, in the conversation.
And there is a chance, weirdly, I know this is crazy, because Keon and Johnny are going to both be in the NFL. The wide receiver core as a whole could be better, more talented, let's say, than it was this past year because it was so top heavy.
It was very, but that top heavy was
incredibly. It was incredible. Well, the top was awesome, but then you're playing Pittsburgh with nobody.
Right.
And then Keon wasn't the same the second half of the season, and you had nobody to really fill that role. Now you're going to have Hakeem in his second year. You're going to have Malik Benson, who looks like a freak. He was the number one JUCO player in the country. You have the Jalen kid from LSU, Jalen Brown. And also your guys Destin and Kentron and Vendravius, like all these guys coming up, is going to be so much competition.
Well, that's the part.
There's going to be so much competition that whoever ends up being the starter is going to be damn good because you're going to have to hold off guys that really think they can play and should be.
That's what we talk about with championship level depth and infusion of talent. Corey, you were talking about raising the talent floor. It's when you, and again, this is going to be perceived taking shots, but if you look at some of the people last week who left and went, and I wish them luck, but you're seeing schools like Rutgers and Southern Miss and East Carolina and then you look at what's being brought in. I know it's not apples for apples, but you start going, oh, well, they're bringing in a kid from Georgia. They're bringing in a kid from LSU. They're bringing in a kid from Alabama. You start getting excited. You start seeing the floor raised there in terms of talent. You're absolutely right, which creates that fierce competition. Let's get to headliner questions. We'll do it next.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's holiday shopping season, and as usual, there's a lot of new Apple gear out there. But before you buy that Apple Watch or new iPhone, stop by Mac & More Systems. The experts at Mac & More will help you make the right decisions to ensure all of your devices work together properly. That Apple Watch might not work with the previous generation iPhone, and there is no one I trust more for advice, sales, and support for all of my Apple devices more than Mac & More Systems. Call them today, 894-3622, or visit them online at macandmoresystems.com. A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Give your business a facelift with a modern, consistent, creative brand overhaul from Curiosity Marketing Group. These days, it's not enough for your business just to have a standard website or a Google listing to reach your customers. Your business needs to stand out with eye-popping branding, modern web development, and strong marketing. And it takes a team to pull it all together. Words and websites matter. At Curiosity, we make the most of yours. Find out more at curiositymg.com.
I used to fight almost on a daily basis working on my business website. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I could never get it to function the way I needed it to, and I was losing customers because of it. That's when I called Curiosity Marketing. They listened, they understood, we collaborated, and in the end, they delivered beyond my highest expectations. Now, I can barely keep up with the work. They say the future belongs to the curious, and now I'm excited about the future of my business.
Find out more at curiositymg.com.
Live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Staples is serious about gaming. And right now, during Staples holiday deals, we're even serious. Like this week at Staples, save $50 on the Xbox Series S with 3-month Game Pass Ultimate Bundle, now just $249.99. Save serious money on gaming with $50 off the Xbox Series S game system today during Staples holiday deals. Xbox offer available online and select stores only while supplies last. Limit 1 ends 12/23.
Last minute shopping? Ulta Beauty has everything I need for everyone on my list. Ready to gift fragrance kits from YSL and Valentino, and the hottest gift sets from MAC, Tarte, and Lancome. Plus, everyone loves an Ulta Beauty gift card. Shop last minute gifts that will bring joy to everyone on your list. Hurry in store or place your online pickup order today. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful.
I'm Stephanie, and I work for Paul's Termite and Pest Control. I've been working here for over 11 years, and to say making the switch to Paul's has been life-changing is an understatement. First, we provide a service that truly helps people protect the health of their families and pets from disease-carrying bugs and rodents, plus their homes from destructive termites. So when I go to work every day, what I do really makes a difference. Second, I have grown professionally in the company. I was hired by Paul's in customer service, and now I'm the customer service leader. While my responsibilities have grown, so have my pay and benefits. It's such a blessing to work with friends doing something that helps people, plus being well paid. If you're in a job that provides minimal pay and satisfaction, we have openings right now. Paul's employees receive many benefits like CHP, 401k, paid vacations, and holidays. We work Monday through Friday and provide extensive training so no experience is required. Call today to learn how we can improve your life.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can pull them to the test.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges, ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
License CAC 1816186.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Thanks so much for watching and or listening, doing both, we hope, certainly. Let's begin the hour as we're wont to do by saying thanks to Dr. Birch. I haven't seen Dr. Birch in forever. Birch Orthodontics, of course, is who we're referencing. I gotta get in there, guys. It's been a minute. I miss seeing Dr. Birch and her incredible staff in that lovely office and having the football conversations. I haven't talked to her about the devastation at the end of the season or any of it. Maybe
I was just thinking about that. We might need to do a welfare check on Dr. Birch, because the last time I saw her,
she's still open.
Was at our party in the party we were at with the Charlotte Seminole Club, and the night before before the.
By the way, that was a good party.
It was an awesome party. We had a great time.
Party,
She was there.
She was there, buddy. She was there. Yeah,
I missed her too. By the way, you're the only one of us who saw her.
Well, I'm the only one she really wanted to see.
Man, my heart breaks. It's hard to find Dr. Birch at a party like that. She's 3 feet tall. You can't see her. I probably walked right past her, didn't see her.
Hey, you know what? We don't body shame on this show, Jeff.
There's no shaming.
Dr. Birch, Heather, I apologize for that.
You know what she is? She's a giant in orthodontics.
Right. Boom.
No question. BirchOrthodontics.com is the website. And again, tremendous work. They do. All of our kids have gone there. Even Corey's fiance Stephanie's kids have gone there. Jean's kids have gone there. We can't recommend them highly enough. BirchOrthodontics.com is a website conveniently located Northeast Tallahassee. Great customer service, payment plans, and the latest techniques. Just we can't say enough about it.
Corey, I'm not going to say the location, and I don't want you to say the location. I know you guys, you don't hide in the shadows,
right?
You and Stephanie, very public figures here in Tallahassee, always together, always out and about.
Right.
But the location, and I know where it is, and I frequent that location these days. It's one of my favorites. Okay, it's a great place. There's a lot going on there. Is this going to be like a big, do we have a DJ and an outdoor band? What's going on?
About the wedding. Yeah, it's going to be a DJ. Yeah, it's going to be a DJ. It's going to be a bar, full service bar.
Is there going to be pin the tail on the donkey or anything cool like that? What do we got?
I don't think we're doing that. There's going to be obviously cornhole, and there's going to be basketball.
Bobbing for apples?
Oh, yeah. 1800 style.
Bobbing for stuff. I don't know what's going to be in there. There's going to be something in there. You're going to bob for stuff, but maybe not apples. Because who likes apples? We're not horses.
I was thinking that was that letting your kids ride in the car without seatbelts, smoking in the car, and then when you had a birthday party, having them all putting
their saliva and all their germs and just spit it out in the water.
The three reasons that the parents of the 70s really sucked.
Our parents kind of sucked in a way.
Yeah, they were not good.
They were great in other areas, but just the overall child welfare aspect of it, they didn't care at all about
almost like they were trying to weed us out.
Yeah,
it was like survival of the fittest.
Darwinism, yeah.
Survival of the fittest was on play here, buddy.
By the way, I was thinking about this during the break. You know who I feel the worst for? Even worse than Florida State fans, maybe. That's not true, but it's close. It's a close second. How about Texas and Texas fans watching Penix on Monday night after what he did to them? Like, he could not – it was like Steph Curry just making unbelievable shots, and then the next game Steph Curry goes 1 for 20.
Well, that's where
you couldn't have looked like this. You couldn't look like this in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, but Texas's defensive line ain't Michigan's defensive line.
No, but the throws he was making were not to wide open dudes all the time, and he was dropping them in.
He had time to do it too.
Yeah, but to Jeff's point, you could see he was affected by the rush. I mean, he was.
Oh yeah.
He was looking at the rush early.
They couldn't. And that's where I got nervous. I was shocked it was still a game midway through. I was like, they can't block him. This is a problem. I mean, that kid has no time.
Yeah, Michigan's defense is obviously it's the best in the country.
It's very, very good. Very, very good.
But the one thing I'd say about Texas though is it bothers me seeing them higher than Florida State in the national. Again, this final poll.
Yeah, you think what did you see from them that made you think that they're better than Florida State, who is really an undefeated team? Yeah. You're ranking a 2-loss team. Alabama too. Did Alabama look great? No. Yeah. So two-loss teams are ahead of Florida State, who had 0 losses.
Yeah, it should be Michigan, Washington. Probably Georgia, then Florida State.
Yeah,
that's what it should be.
Yeah. That's. Burke writes, do you think the portal and NIL will mean the end of dynasties, as no team will be able to hoard talent the way they used to? Well, we are seeing a greater disbursement. The early numbers, we are seeing a greater disbursement of 5-star talent. And to Corey's point, he's talking about where they end up. They didn't start with you, right? But you're seeing that now. That is happening. And we did just get done watching a year of college football where the three of us admit we're not real sure who the number one team is. There were like 8 of them that we could all at various points talk about.
This year wasn't really an anomaly. Like maybe it was like because Georgia. No, man, like it's always going to be like this forever. For the rest of our lives.
It's an anomaly. Seasons. Yeah, it's an anomaly compared to what it used to be, but this may be the trend.
No, but I mean, there might be a team that is far and away looks like the most talented or is the most talented. But 2 to 7 or 3 to 8, there's hardly any difference. And that's been the case for a decade now. And so you know what I mean? Like as far as like the best of the best.
Yeah, but Corey, where I'd push back is I'd say that I don't remember there being 6 to 8 teams that legitimately could win the national championship.
But I'm talking about just playoff, like getting in the playoff.
Playoff.
And that's what I'm talking about is the playoff decider is just the 4 best teams. Well, how are you picking that? Like right now, tell me the 4 best teams in the NFL or the NFC. Like it's hard. It's week to week, man. The parity, and that's what I think the NIL is going to do. Like Alabama's always going to still be Alabama as long as Saban's there, so they'll still be in the playoffs. So I guess that counts as part of your dynasty run. But overall, the parity is going to get to the point where there are going to be this year coming up, there will be 20 to 22 teams that have a rightful that will be in contention for the playoffs going into the final week or two of the season.
And they'll be frustrated when they see 10 of the 12 spots taken by the Big Ten and the SEC.
Correct.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I don't worry as much about teams 13 and 15, 16 that get left out as I do.
Unless you're 13th.
Right. But at that point, you've lost a couple games.
Yeah.
So, you can't get too mad. You might even be playing as well as that's what's going to be funny is because that's going to be the calling card for the SEC and the Big Ten is like, oh yeah, they lost 2 games, but
look at the way they're playing now.
Yeah, they're playing better than everybody in the country because they just stomped Iowa.
Well, Greg Sankey will just tell everybody, hold on now.
Hey,
one of these things doesn't look like the other.
That's right.
That's just the way it is, guys. So I think that 4-loss SEC team, their losses are to Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and LSU. They're in. They're in over the
Florida. They beat Florida on the road. They hung with Kentucky. They got to be in.
Yeah. Next question. How many redshirt and true freshmen are going to be starters over in Dublin?
True freshmen, 0.
Well, yeah, probably.
Possibly Cam Davis.
I was going to say Cam Davis could start at running back. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a technicality. Toafili's the number 1 right now. But, yeah, Cam Davis could be on the field with him, I think. Yeah.
And I think Cam's going to be a pretty special player for Florida State. I think he's going to get some runs, so I don't know. But that's
in that position. That's a position, obviously, where you can play early. I don't know. There might be some redshirt freshmen. And I also think it's going to be how many new starters, how many guys that we've never seen play for Florida State. It could be close to half of them.
Okay, so
between the third and half of them,
a couple of those receivers, perhaps. You got DJ, who's never played for Florida State, obviously. Let's assume you bring in. Obviously, we know Marvin Jones Jr. has never played for Florida State. He's going to start.
2 linebackers.
Say 2 linebackers, and Earl Little Jr. is probably going to start. I think he's probably going to win a starting job. So that'd be another one. Yeah, a lot.
At least half dozen. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's keep it rolling here. I'm not going to read that one. Gents, thought experiment. Odd set of dominoes fall. Harbaugh to the NFL, Kelly from LSU to Michigan, and hypothetically Norvell, who has Louisiana ties from his time at La Tech, to LSU and the SEC. Out of curiosity, who would you want to be the next head coach at FSU, and who would be gettable?
It's Jimbo, right?
He's just sitting there.
He's just
sitting there. It's like when the the Washington football team rehired Joe Gibbs after 15 years of being in NASCAR. They're like, let's just get it back together, man. He's going to recreate that magic.
The Commanders are still searching for a good coach there.
It's been a minute. Joe Gibbs was the last one, I guess, right?
Still struggling to find that right guy.
Well, let's play that out. Let's say that Norvell, I don't know that he'd go to LSU. I guess he could, but let's say he'd go to the Raiders. Who's on their short list? Somebody from the staff?
No.
It would have to. There's still a couple years away from that. Like if they had,
I know. But hey, that was the question, Ira.
For right now, yeah, I don't think you'd hire from within the staff.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah. That's a tough one, man.
I don't
Arthur
really
Smith, the Falcons coach that just got fired. He's got. I could tell you, your NIL would be the best in the world.
Yeah, you've got a billionaire coming in.
FedEx money, baby.
Yeah.
I know.
I would bring him in just for that.
I know who Rich Eisen wants him to hire. So we've got that as an option out there.
Are you sure?
I think he's still pretty confident.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It would be.
There's not a guy right now that I would say that's who I want.
That's why you need to keep Mike Norvell.
Yeah, Mike is a very good coach. I want to hang on to Mike. Truthfully, if that happened, and I don't think you would be able to woo him away, but I'm a big fan of Dan Lanning, and I would go that route if I could, because I think he can recruit, and I also like the way he coaches. I would go that route, but I don't think we could get him from Oregon because they got more money than they know what to do with, so that'd be a tough ask.
Well, you know what? I would say this, though. What would be interesting if Florida State was in the position to hire a head coach now is think about the decisions and the changes in the way this administration has acted since the last 2 years compared to the way they acted the previous 10, 15 years, in the sense that after Mike Norvell was hired and they realized he was the right guy, you talk about from Peter Collins, the board of trustees, to Michael Alford, the AD, to President McCullough, they have invested way more in football. The football facility, Jeff, the football facility is going to become a reality there this week.
I
They're
guess
moving Gauge Dirt this week.
We'll see.
They're changing the football stadium. They've increased the staff. They've invested so much more money in the staff and recruiting staff and all of that. They've become all in on football these last couple of years in a way that they hadn't been in the previous years, which makes you think that maybe they would go into a crazy bidding. I'm not even saying it's reasonable or responsible, but maybe you can battle a Dan Lanning and say, you know what, we have to have him. We have to have somebody at that level. We're not going to the AAC anymore.
No.
We're trying to go get a big time guy. That it would be interesting just because it's a different leadership than it was in place those last two hires.
Miami got Cristobal.
Right.
I know he's a Cane, but they got Cristobal from the same school.
And they're paying him
10-year
contract for $8 million a year.
You know, it's not just about the money at Oregon, or Cristobal would still be there.
Well, but Cristobal wanted to come home, and he wanted to.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, you could make the argument to Lanning that you can come and win a national championship here.
Much easier than you could at Oregon.
Yeah, I would grab Dan Lanning if I could. I really think very highly of him. The dad guy writes, should we move to the Big Ten? Which team are you looking forward to visit the most?
Purdue? Have you guys ever been to Lafayette? I'm talking about the west part.
West Lafayette, of course.
The west part of Lafayette is really
East
pretty.
Lafayette. East Lafayette is the safest place.
East Lansing. I mean,
not West Lansing again. Don't have anything to do with that.
My answer, besides Michigan and Ohio State, which are tradition-laden places,
it's Washington, right?
It's Washington or it's Oregon.
Yeah,
I know the white out of Penn State's probably cool.
Yeah, but you're in the sticks up there. There's nothing there.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm dying to go there, but it's probably cool. Once you're in the stadium, it's probably
back
cool.
to Maryland again. See that giant inflatable turtle on the field?
Piscataway. See Rutgers.
A little New Jersey action, huh? No, I think Oregon or Washington. I love those two settings, and I'd really, really like to see a game there.
Northwestern, because it's in Chicago, is kind of cool, maybe.
Yeah, but we get that this next year when we go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. I mean, the answer probably in Wisconsin. There's good options there.
Madison is a good choice, by the way.
Yeah.
You're right. That's not bad. Watching this game, how much do you think FSU would have won by?
With Jordan Travis?
With Jordan Travis, I like him to win. Yeah,
I do too. I think Jordan makes a couple special plays. And then obviously you got the guys that he can throw to. And then I just think their defense is better than Washington's. And if J.J. McCarthy versus Jordan Travis, with everything else being kind of equal or close to equal, you take your chances with Jordan Travis, I think.
Yeah, I think if you look at from a matchup standpoint, Michigan didn't face a quarterback like Jordan Travis, who was elusive but also could throw. And so their defensive line is dominant, but they would have faced a different challenge in Jordan Travis. I know they would have dominated Florida State's offensive line, but Jordan could respond in a way that neither of these quarterbacks they played in the playoff could. On the other side of the ball, like I think Florida State, defensively would have kept Michigan in check. I don't think Michigan nobody, if you look at the regular season, nobody really traditional running games really ran the ball well on Florida State's defense. So yeah, I think Florida State would it have been a pick'em if Florida State if they met in the championship game with Jordan Travis?
You're talking about a scenario by which they have Jordan Travis.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, that'd be a pick'em.
But I think back to the point, the current Florida, well, it's not current anymore because now he's a Southern Miss, but what would have been in the playoff and what gives you a lot of pause is Tate Rodemaker isn't that guy. That makes
for sure.
I'm not picking Florida State to beat Michigan with Tate Rodemaker.
Because they couldn't have run the ball on them at all. No. That was just off the table.
They would have hung with them, but
they would have had
to take some special plays from your guys out wide.
Just so people know we're not delusional. Like I'll say it. I would have picked Michigan to beat Florida State with Tate Rodemaker. I mean, I would have. I would have picked Alabama to beat Florida State with Tate Rodemaker. That's just and I'm not
by 100.
Tate.
Not by 100. It probably would have been a close game, right?
Right. We've got some folks who are concerned about the linebackers. We've already shared that, guys. But, yeah, we've got the same concerns. Let's just keep watching. But It is a bit disconcerting. Walter writes, "Happy Storm Tuesday, gents. I hope everybody saw the FSU booster commercial in the third quarter. Great placement and an excellent reminder of the grand theft perpetrated by the committee." Penetrated works too.
Penetrated is a good, better verb.
Do we need 2 or 3 stud linebackers from the portal? Yeah, everybody's concerns the same, guys. I did see the commercial, and we'll go from there.
I thought so. It's interesting. They actually ran it twice. I think they ran it early, and then they ran it again the second half.
I'm in Atlanta, so I didn't see it.
That's what I was going to say. I assumed it was only in the local broadcast and not the national. That would have been ridiculous to spend that kind of money. It's a well done commercial. They actually, Seminole Boosters put it out on social media a couple weeks ago or last week. It's a really nice salute to the 2023 team. And the message at the end is support Seminole Boosters. But
okay.
But it's it was well done. It was a nice touch. I think again for the local audience during the national championship game to celebrate. I'll just tip my cap to Seminole Boosters and FSU. I thought it was a nice touch.
Ryan wants to know, and he says to start, Happy New Year's. And then he goes on to say, Corey, we have to sit this one out. He just wants Ira's reaction to Jimbo's interview on Pardon My Take.
So here's what I'll say, and you guys can chime in as well.
Did you watch it?
I've only seen the clips that were tweeted out.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
I've watched it.
But I don't know. We're all such prisoners of the moment, okay? Sure. And so, yes, now that he's unattached and that he doesn't have an agenda and, with the SEC and Texas A&M.
He was very affable.
And it's almost like he's like the Jimbo you wanted him to be all along. But the reality
is 100% correct, Ira.
But that's not the Jimbo that was here the last several years.
It's also not the Jimbo that operates day to day when running a football organization.
Right. So it's just funny to me that some people took that as, oh, it's Jimbo again.
I laughed so hard at the willingness to forgive.
Yes.
All he did was sit down and say a couple of nice things about FSU, and this fan base is like, well, come on home, baby. Come on home. It was embarrassing. Yeah. They were gushing about Jimbo, and they forgot all the stupid stuff he has said and done either while he was here at the end or since he left. It's crazy.
Completely trashed your program. Told anybody in the national media that Florida State was not serious about football, Correct. Would not commit to football, and basically implied he moved mountains to make anything happen.
He created an entire narrative that was based on falsehoods. Over and over again, he repeated to people, anybody that would listen that was a journalist or another coach or anything, that Florida State was a broke program that didn't care to spend, and it was a miracle they won the game.
A what program?
I don't know. I was going to let it go. Hopefully Ben.
Are we allowed to say that?
No, probably not. Ben,
hopefully Ben heard it.
But yeah.
It's hyphenated, I guess. Mark. It's 2 words.
But that's what he did. And then he sits down with those guys, and he's just shooting off the cut, spitballing and having a good time.
I will say this: whenever this happens, Ira, you're saying later in the week, when that football facility, when they really truly break ground, old Jimbo's going to have a single tear coming down his eye. Like, it finally happened. 8 years later, I don't have a job anymore. I'm on one of my 3 ranches, but holy moly, they're doing it. They're really doing it.
7 years.
So 7 years.
7 years.
I did laugh at one of the comments that he had, and I hope. Oh, here we go. We got emergencies going on here, everybody.
All right, man. This is breaking. What's it say?
Tornado warning, which is not great.
That's probably not good.
Should we do a show during a tornso warning, guys?
Yes. So you can take a break, though.
Reminding everybody that we're recording this. We're trying to power through before the storm really hits. So we'll see.
What area? Let's take a quick break here, boys. Let's get this figured out here. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Use it in a moment.
Hello, I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic.
Traffic cameras are everywhere, providing valuable evidence if you've been in an accident.
But if you can't access that evidence, it could just be your word against theirs.
Basic Brooks is partnered with Roadproof to have access to all their traffic camera footage. If you've been hurt in an accident, give us a call and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Let us find your video evidence so you can come back stronger. Call us now at 850-777-7777.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like Tallahassee Automobile Museum, Krispy Kreme Donuts, Keith Lawson Services, or ABC Flooring. Tallahassee's leading supplier of in-stock, top-of-the-line ceramic, carpet, waterproof, and hardwood floors since 1990. At ABC Flooring, you can pick out your floor and installation can begin in 48 hours. ABC Flooring is also the leading supplier of in-stock landlord property management products in the Panhandle. Visit their warehouse showroom on Capitol Circle Southeast or call 877-6600.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Wooden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Wooden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Well, I guess out of deference to the storm, everybody, we're going to do the responsible and fatherly thing. Ira, I guess we got to go be husbands as well and walk our ass back in here and get our kids organized.
Spouses are very concerned. Kids are very concerned. We could come back and do like a video thing later in the week, answering the rest of these questions or some of the questions, maybe.
Sure.
Like a little bonus thing later in the week.
Or you guys just get out of there, go into your closets, and I'll carry the rest of the day.
We could go get in the closets and bring the mic and be like, John wants to know.
An ASMR edition.
Yeah. But we did want to sign off quickly because it looks as if a tornado cone is headed directly to the neighborhood that Ira and I live in. So for Corey Clark and Ira Schofel, I'm Jeff. Shortened version of Seminole Headlines. We love you nonetheless. Good job, Ben. Peace.
We love you all.
Guys. Good luck.